Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dr. Psych Mom Show. Today, we are going to be talking about the reality of female sexual initiation. Sounds like a Nat Geo special. The reality of female sexual initiation in this meerkat community. But anyway, before we get into that, we will talk about the reasons you should subscribe, which are that I have about 84 podcast episodes that are subscription only, including oral sex on women, and then most recently, why your wife won't come to couples counseling, or because she just got a new puppy, or she just renovated the house, or whatever the hell the reason of the week is. And not just couples counseling, but why she won't have sex with you or do anything really. And is it true that she is just so busy all the time? Why does she keep making herself even more busy? If so, etc., etc. Burning questions of the average American male. Okay, so then the reality of female sexual initiation. Why am I talking about this? Many guys put this on a pedestal as like the most profoundly transformative marital experience they could imagine, which will rectify all their existing self-esteem issues, which may not even be identified as such, and would just make their life just so fucking awesome. Every day they would be walking on air because they are a guy who gets pursued sexually by their wife. Now, as you can imagine from my tone, this is like some bullshit, right? This is some fantasy world bullshit. You would get habituated to anything. So what do guys really think that this would be like? They think it would be like porn, you know? Like the woman, and I know you're so smart, you know that like women don't like look like porn actresses, and they don't do like a million, different, contortionist moves, and they're not screaming to wake the children, but the woman who would initiate sex would be looking at you with desire in her eyes, and she would be touching you and thinking you're so hot, and this is why she wants to have sex. Let me tell you something. Monogamy strikes even the high libido initiation women. They would be initiating because they want to have sex, and you are the only thing to have sex with. That's the reality. Women think that guys do it because they're the only game in town, but it isn't really true, because guys have like a super high sex/romance drive, and they can get really into they have like a fantasy going on in their head too, because romance is fantasy, but guys more frequently do want to have sex with their wives because they're super attracted to their wives. I mean, they could be super attracted to lots of women, but their wife is one of them, And so men who have spontaneous desire, you really go back to the Responsive Desire podcast. If you're not super familiar with that, then a lot of my stuff's not going to make sense. So men have spontaneous desire. They look at their wife and they feel desire. They then, as everybody does, it's naturally a human thing to try to extrapolate from your own experiences and generalize to the experiences of others. So if you're a high libido, spontaneous desire male, then you think that if you were with a woman who initiated sex, then she would also be a spontaneous desire sort of person. That, in fact, is why she would be initiating. It is not, in fact, similar. Many women initiate sex. In fact, it is a common complaint in my practice that women initiate more than men, and that the man is very passive and does not initiate at all. And that is accurate. And what they do often is wait for the woman to pre-initiate, like basically put her hand on their arm or say, let's go upstairs or something. And then once in the bed, they will be the first to kiss her or something. That's not really initiation. I mean, initiation is coming up with the idea in the first place. And many women complain that the man does not do this. And I relate that to the fact that men in today's society are taught to be ashamed of their sexuality and are also very rejection sensitive, more so than in prior generations, possibly because I don't know, they are told that it's so terrible to hurt a woman's feelings. They also don't have so much shit going on as guys did in previous generations where, and the friend DSO, Dad Starting Over, I'm going to be doing a thing with him in a couple weeks, a Zoom call that I can link you guys to I could do that in the description of this. I have it. The link to the Zoom invite. But anyway, he talks about that like men ought to have more friends and stuff like that in order to work against some of this thing where they situate their entire self-esteem in what their wife thinks about them. But many guys don't have that, and many women are out earning their husbands now too. I mean, this is like not a man's world anymore, in case you've been dead or in a coma. So, it's good that it isn't like, a situation where women are one down to men, but we may be going a little the other direction too much. Especially in the upper middle class and above, So anyhow, my point being, a lot of guys situate the entirety of their self-esteem in whether their wife wants to have sex with them. Therefore, they don't put themselves out there to be rejected, because the rejection will be a cataclysm to their self-esteem. And also porn. Because the entirety of their self-esteem is situated. But I was going to say about porn, there's more men watching porn in today's generation than ever before. Porn is just a part of, your media experience. So guys used to look at Hustler. Yeah, Hustler, you can't really get sucked into Hustler for like 4 hours, There's only so many pages of Hustler. And now there's like this carefully curated porn experience, and all those women are like, looking at you like they want you. It's not really you, but you can tell yourself it is. And so then, whatever your wife does is going to hurt your feelings, because your bar is so high for what female desire is supposed to look like due to the proliferation of porn. So anyway, what would it look like for a woman to initiate sex in these guys' minds if they had a wife who initiates sex more? She would be doing it, she's looking at you, she desires you, she wants you. A high libido woman that initiates sex wants to have sex. So, it's not as awesome as it sounds, because it's awesome if you're a securely attached man. But if you are the usual man that is complaining about the wife not wanting sex and making it their reason for living to hack the system of why she doesn't want sex, then you're wanting more from the encounter than a woman who wants sex. You're wanting validation, approval, acceptance, attraction. You're wanting all this crazy shit out of a woman who wants to get off. So it's so interesting, because I get all kind of complaints in my office, and they're exactly opposite to each other, which shows that they're invalid, Not invalid, but that they represent something deeper. I get men who complain that the woman comes too slow, men who complain the woman comes too fast. I get men who complain that the woman wants to be only on top, only wants to be on the bottom. I get men that say the woman wants to have the lights on, wants to have the lights off. Literally, like any complaint. You would say, why would a man complain about any of those? Let's pick the lights on. Oh, because it's not a romantic, sensual experience. We're just fucking, Really. So the point here is this. If you are situating your need for basic approval, love, and validation in your wife's desire for sex, there is nothing that is going to help you, because within a monogamous relationship, she is never going to look at you like how, like whatever romantic / porn fairy tale you're thinking about, where there was, like she's one of the girls in front at an NSYNC concert 20 years ago, and then she goes home with the guy from NSYNC. It's not going to be like that, because a high libido woman wants to have sex. Yes, she separately thinks that you're attractive, because I hope I have hammered home really quite a bit the fact that her sex drive and whether she finds you attractive are separate. They got like nothing to do with each other. I could see a hot guy on the street, not want to have sex with him at all, not even think about it. That's how women are. And I hope that you have learned that from listening to me. And so unless the husband has fallen off a cliff physically, like gained like 50 pounds, just stopped even caring, stopped shaving, stopped showering, stopped getting his hair cut, yeah, sure, you can make things worse. But generally, your looks aren't going to make things better from her baseline sex drive. So if you're partnering with a high libido woman and she wants to have sex, then she's going to want to have sex. And at some point, because you're not stupid, you're going to think, oh my God, it's about sex. So it isn't about me being transformationally amazing that she cannot wait to only specifically be with me. It's because she likes when I go down on her, like that's what it is. And then, of course, the man who has preoccupied attachment and a workhorse mentality is going to be like, well, shit, and this is another one I get. Men who are upset that the woman likes when he goes down on her, men who are upset that the woman doesn't like when he goes down on her. And they have exactly the same tone of voice on both ends of the spectrum. Why would a man not like when a woman wants him to go down on her? Because he thinks it's all about the orgasm and not about the deep, complete, idealized, fake fantasy level of personal, attraction and unique desire that is only about him. And so if you are a man who struggles with preoccupied attachment, which you go back to my Preoccupied Attachment Husband podcast, you're wanting so much out of the sexual experience that even a high libido woman who wanted frequent sex would not be able to squelch, your self-esteem issues and to knock them out, because she can't do that. She's another human being that has her own needs and her own life and her own thoughts. So if you're looking to get ultimate validation from another human being, it doesn't matter how often she would be fucking you. It really doesn't. You got to trust me on this, because I also have men who are having regular sex and it's just not quality enough. And when I hear it sounds like it's quality. It sounds fine, It sounds like multiple positions. She'll do eye contact, she'll do this, she'll do that. But what she doesn't do is make him feel like the only man in the universe that matters in some sort of transcendent, glory, that he's thinking about in his deepest heart would be the thing that would finally fill him up and make him feel better about himself. She's not doing that because he realizes that she likes sex, and that's why they're having sex. It's true. She also loves him separately, and sometimes, she expresses love through sex. Women don't really do that much, not as much as men, because they're not as romantic within monogamy. But yeah, she loves him, she thinks he's hot, and they have sex. And you would say, in such a situation, I, a preoccupied attachment husband, would never look a gift horse in the mouth. Man, you just have not met the gift horse yet, because I see men do this all over the place. Though the woman initiates, but she initiates bad. The woman initiates, but, oh my God, once they started tracking it, it's more around ovulation, which in fact means that her hormones are at play, not her burning desire for you as a man, or whatever the case may be. So it is never, and I had a podcast all about this, it is never about the frequency of sex unless you're securely attached. That's the hack. If you can work on yourself in therapy and get to a place where your self-esteem is not riding on your wife and what she thinks of you, then you can enjoy a good sex life. Then you could be like, oh, wow, shit, I lucked out, man. We do it like 3 times a week when she's ovulating, 1 time a week the rest of the time, and then some freebies sometimes, and I realize that's pretty good. And if I were to make it my business to be Mr. Seductive Grand Wizard, I bet that I could get that up to twice a week, and 4 times a week when she's ovulating or some crazy shit or whatever, or I bet we could, do anal if I really became like Mr. Grandmaster Anal Wizard, So whatever that would entail, which sounds kind of horrifying. But the point being, until you could get to a place where your self-esteem is separated from what your wife thinks about you, and you have worked on your deep, bottomless need for approval and adoration from women, and resolved the childhood issues that led to such, which are usually not feeling that you got enough attention, care, and love at home, then there's no amount of sex and no type of sex that she could give you that's going to be enough. I get guys who wish that the wife would do sex toys, men that are upset that the wife does sex toys. People who want more selfies, people who don't like the selfies that they're sent. It's literally, I know it's hard to, unless you experience it, but until you have sat there listening to 2 consecutive male clients complain about things on complete ends of the spectrum that are different, but yet they still have the same personality trait, which is preoccupied attachment, not a personality trait in the classic sense, but attachment style, then you can't see how interesting it is, It's like this, if you want to think about it. If you think that your wife is kind of a depressive, anxious person, anxious, so many of y'all think your wives are anxious, right? And many women are anxious, so you're not wrong. So is there an amount of safety that the children could have? Is there? Is there really? No, there isn't. Because if she gets them in the car seat the right way, then she's going to be upset that they could choke on a grape. If she cuts up the grape the right way, then she's upset that they could get COVID. If they get COVID, then she's upset that they could get the flu. It just bounces from one thing to the next. And if they're older, it's that they're not going to be out on their own. But then if they're out on their own, it's that they don't want to be with her. It's always a problem because she's not addressing the root of the issue, which is her own anxiety. So it's exactly the analog for the preoccupied attachment man. There is no next step of sexual anything that could make a man with preoccupied attachment feel better. He has to work on his attachment style and his self-esteem and his confidence in exactly the same way that the woman in the analogy has to work on her levels of generalized anxiety. Otherwise, there will be nothing that can help. The reality of female sexual initiation is it would become baseline in your hedonic treadmill within about 7 to 10 business days. And then you would be worried about the next sign that she doesn't love you enough, right? And I think that some of y'all are having a light bulb moment, and for that I am grateful, or happy for you. You be grateful to me. And hope you got something out of this. Please do subscribe. Follow me on TikTok. And I got an old-fashioned pickup line the other day on TikTok. I thought y'all would think it was funny. I told my husband as soon as I got it. He said, I give you a 9 out of 10, wrong last name. Ha, right? Pretty funny. Some of the TikTok guys do the old school come-ons, which is pretty amusing. But also I do get many, many insults, so you could follow those. Not about my looks, thank God, but there's always a dawn of a new day, so I can't say no that won't happen. Usually it's about my personality, though, so, which is really not everybody's cup of tea, so I hear that, where they're coming from. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.